We do thank you for keeping it right here on Sunrise at Sea. And of course, we'll welcome you back from that heated argument that you had with Priva Elibas in regard to the arts teachers that called off their industrial action. Of course, that is in regard to the strike, in regard to raising their salaries. Right about now, we switch gears and it's time for our views, which is probably your best segment. And what we do here is we give our reactions as to what we think about different real life situations. Joining me this morning, of course, other ladies. To my left is none other than Priva Elibas, and to my right I have Agi Uwase as well as Sarah Apollo. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning. Good morning.
Are you excited? Are you happy?
Oh yes.
Are you well? You know, very many times we ask people, "Are you okay?" And you say, "Yeah, we're okay." You say, "Good morning, good morning." It has become like a throwaway phrase. But when I ask, "Are you okay?" Are you okay, Priva?
Yes, I'm not going to just do the generic, how are you, I'm okay.
Yeah, you are really okay. Fine. Yes, are you mentally okay? Sarah, are you okay?
I'm very fine.
That's very interesting. Aggie, are you okay?
Do you want my blunt opinion?
Yes, of course. That's why I'm asking. Now you see what these are the things we're talking. Are you
okay? Story for the press.
Okay. Well, it's very important, and what I did here is very intentional. It's very important that you learn to ask the people that you work with, or the people that you stay with, or even your friends. Learn to ask people, "Are you okay?" You'll be surprised to find out the things that people are going through. Anyway, it's time for the conversation of the day, and today we're going to be looking at a question that we did post on our Twitter handle at CTV Uganda, and we asked, is it true that women hold their men to the same standards as their fathers? And I kid you not, the bond between a father and a daughter is something that even science has failed to explain. Very many daughters, very many girls find themselves inclined to their fathers, while actually boys find themselves inclined to their mothers. So ladies, my first question is it true that women hold their men to the same standards as their fathers?
Interesting. Very, very interesting. Now for me, I may not have a practical point to put across because I did not have the chance I didn't have the chance to grow up with my father, but I do not think it's like that, like, oh, I have to compare the next person that I'm with in a relationship with what my father was or any other father figure in my life at the moment. I do not believe it works like that. You're your own individual, you experience life differently. It's not like you're always home 24/7. You have friends, you're in a society, you're at school. So through all that lifetime, by the time you get to an age where you're having relationships with people, so many factors have played into that. It's not even about, what your father is doing or how your father is treating you. So for me, I do not think that women actually hold their partners or their men to the same standard as their fathers. At least I don't. Yes, because so many factors play into it.
Okay.
Yes, you're not just at home 24/7. You have friends, you go to school, you go to uni, you go to work. So many factors play into how your relationship works, not necessarily about your parents.
So what do the rest of the ladies think?
For me, I think it's like 30%, especially for women who have grown up with very loving, present fathers who have treated them like queens, like princesses. You don't want to lose that. You still want, to have, who doesn't want to be treated like that? So you find such ladies, even eventually when they are dating, they want someone who treats them the exact way, who adores them, who, takes them, who treats them like a princess, like the way their father treats them. But yeah, what Priva said is actually true. At the end of the day, we are different people. You don't expect, the other person that you're dating to be exactly like your father. It doesn't happen. You can only be lucky to find someone who's like your father. That is where compromise comes in. On the other hand, I do believe that even our parents, even our fathers, did have their shortcomings. I grew up with a father, but until this day, I cannot tell you that I want to date or to marry a man who's like my dad. No, yes. There are those few character traits, beautiful things about him that I definitely would want my man to have, but I cannot hold it all for my partner to treat me exactly like my father treated me. It has worked out for some people, and here's the thing. The moment you put your mind to that, especially if you've grown up in that kind of princess kind of love and you want your husband to treat you that way, you'll be disappointed in the end. They may put on a show to try and get you, but at the end of the day, the times will come when there are difficulties. Your father will even treat you still like a princess even when there are some very difficult things going on. It won't happen with your husband. Now you are mature people and you have to, approach situations head on, maturely and rationally. So you might be disappointed in the end. However, for those who want the princess treatment, like, you know, their fathers treated. Not that I'm saying that
Look for
men
your father.
shouldn't treat their women well, but do not hold men, you know, at ransom that they have to treat you the way your fathers treated you.
Yeah.
Okay, Sarah, what do you think?
I have a more wholesome overview or opinion to this. I think our relationships with our parents set the precedent or premise to which we have other relationships later on in our lives. Because our parents are our first point of contact with human beings. They are the people who teach us how to react to affection, how to give affection, how to love, how to, you know, express it, how to love. So if you grow up in an environment where you are lacking in this area or are not given in these things, it's going to later manifest in your life, and you'll find yourself in a pattern picking people who either who are familiar to this kind of upbringing that you have, or if you're intentional about it or realize that you did not like that, you will further drift away from that. Do you understand what I mean? So our relationships with our fathers, say daughters, or even sons, let's not exclude them. Our relationships with our parents set the precedent for our other relationships. So if you find yourself growing up in a family where you were pampered and loved, chances are that is your idea of love. So you will want to be pampered by your partner and loved. If you grew up in an environment where, say, you were neglected, you will find yourself clinging on to people. It will start manifesting. You'll have attachment issues. You'll be very clingy. You'll be very needy. You'll be very, you know, wanting of people's validation. But then again, there are chances, like I said in the beginning, where you will just drift away on the opposite side and say that I grew up being neglected. So anybody who neglects me, even if you ignore, blue tick me one time like this,
It's over.
it is over. You understand? So I absolutely do believe that our relationships with our parents do affect us, and we are going to go on to find partners quite similar, whether consciously or subconsciously, as our parents.
Okay, so in my opinion, when you ask me the question that is it true that women hold the same standards, women hold men to the same standards as their fathers, I would definitely say yes. I would say yes because I myself, I practice it. My father all my life, and I do not mean to brag, but first of all, I am glad that I have grown up with a present father, both emotionally and physically and mentally. He has given me all the love I desire in the world. So even when I am looking out for a partner to date, I do not expect less. However, there is a time when I dated this young man and we had a conflict, and I told him, my idea of love is the idea of love that my father put in my head. Because you see, many times we do not agree with this, but the truth of the matter is that the first love that you actually get, especially when it comes to father-daughter, your first love is actually your dad. For me, my first love is my father. So I do not expect to be treated less. However, this young man boldly told me that, you know what, Shivan, I cannot handle you anymore. If you feel that you want to be treated, if you want me to treat you like the way your dad treated you, then go date your dad.
Yes.
And I found that very insulting and annoying. However, there is no reason as to why I should settle for less. If he felt, and I told him, if you feel that you cannot handle me and treat me the way I deserve to be treated, then I'm going to excuse myself from this equation. And I did, and I'm happy now. I'm glad I did. I think as women, we should stop settling for less just because a man has come up and said, your idea of love, I cannot keep up with it. If you cannot keep up with a woman's idea of love, then walk out of the relationship. However, I would also like to ask a question. Is it wrong for a woman to want to be treated a certain way by their partner, especially according to the way their dads treated them? But I have a video from Meg Mika that I would like you to take a look at.
Tell girls all the time, we gravitate towards what we know, not what we want. We repeat what we know, not what we want. And the reason girls tend to marry somebody with very similar characteristics as their father is because they get so used to relating to a man they love in a certain way, and they don't know another way to do it, and it's subconscious, and so they just fold themselves back into that type of relationship because it's familiar. It's so deeply rooted in them. And that's why, you know, many girls who have been abused as youngsters by their dad end up marrying abusers because that's all they know. Even though consciously they hate it and they know they don't want it. I can't tell you how many girls I've sat with in my office say, I'll never marry a man like my dad. And then I got a wedding invitation about 5 years later, and there he is. You know, she's marrying her dad at the front of the altar.
That is Meg Mika right there, and in the US she is the best-selling author, actually ranked at number 10. And those words, when I listened,
Very questionable.
yeah, very questionable. When I listened to Meg Mika, I realized in a way where we subconsciously or consciously see it, whatever we grow up seeing in our homes is what we sort of expect even when we go to our partners' homes. However, please ladies, weigh in that particular
Oh
video.
my God. Yes.
Now from me, I'll tell you for sure that as you grow older, you start to have a mind
Of your own.
Yes, there is no, yes, you grow up in a setting where that lady was saying you gravitate towards what you know, not what you want. I, for one, I'll tell you, I gravitate towards what I want. What I grew up seeing, I mean, as you get older, you actually you start finding fault in certain things. If you grew up with an abusive father, how on earth would you want to end up with an abusive partner? I mean, you know the bad things that come with that.
But you know that there are people, you know that there are women who have grown up with abusive fathers and end up going for partners that are abusive. And for them, that is the kind of love they have.
Because they are toxic people. Because they're toxic and they love toxicity. That is why even they say even in dating, you find people dating in patterns. You're dating a toxic partner, and then you find a partner who is actually a very good person, and you're like, oh no, this is actually boring. You head on to a toxic person because that is who you are. But if you grow up in a violent setting, a setting without love, a setting without all the things that you want, you definitely want in the future to have exactly what you would want.
Is it wrong for a woman to say that, hey, I am dating you, I expect you to treat me either the way my dad treated me or even more?
Well, at the end of the day, it's up to you. If that's what you want, then find someone who can treat you that way. The only problem is do not put your expectations on someone who is not willing to do what you want them to do. That is where you go wrong.
Okay. Siobhan, after watching that video, I think for me what I picked from that video is the fact that she's almost saying people don't have a mind of their own.
Yeah,
like you're going to stay a child. That's what I'm getting from it. That's my opinion.
Okay.
It's like from the beginning, you're still a child. Even in your adulthood life, you're still a child. You expect to be guided. You expect to be, told what to do. You expect everything to just basically be done for you. Sometimes you have to sit down and actually have a mind of your own. Just like Aggie put it, how are you going to grow up in a violent family and you gravitate towards a violent man? How can you not want better for yourself? Because you see, you're advancing. Yes, we want better. My dad grew up treating me like this and that. But at the end of the day,
just to get you right, and for the viewers' sake, are you trying to say that the numbers lie? Because statistics show that many cases for women, for ladies, for little girls that have grown up either with abusive fathers, that is the kind of life they have lived. You would find them with partners that are toxic and they will remain comfortable in that sort of relationship. But you will find for girls that have grown up with loving fathers or loving parents will gravitate towards partners that actually appreciate them. Are you
I'll speak from my experience. Yes, I'm going to contradict it because I'm going to speak from my experience. I don't know what is happening out there. I don't know what sampling method was used to arrive to that conclusion. But what I know for sure, as an adult, you know what you want for yourself. Not about, you've grown up seeing this person do this and do that, and then you carry on the same thing. Because, you see, if we are to say, treat me the same way my dad has been treating me, then you're also going to ask your partner to even do the bad things your dad was doing to you, because I don't think your dad is an angel.
Perfect.
Can I say something? What she said in that video is we gravitate to what we know. Familiarity. Again, it takes me back to my point. Our first relationships are with our parents. So again, let me give you an example. If you grow up in a home where you are neglected, you will either find yourself in a position where you find yourself subconsciously repeating that pattern because you think that neglect is probably a form of love. You start asking yourself questions like, maybe I'm overreacting, maybe I'm being too needy, maybe I need to be a little more patient. These are things that are subconsciously eating at you. You're not intentionally choosing it, and you think your mind is tricking you into thinking that it's not what you're choosing, but it is what is manifesting in your life. Do you understand what I mean? When you grow up in a home where you see your mother taking on abuse and she's still sticking into that marriage, later on many times you'll find young girls, when they get into marriages of their own, they will also hang in there and say, but mom hanged in there. This is what a relationship is supposed to be. Let me give you an example. We have had women who are even advised. We hear singers telling women it is a woman's role to be the glue in the family.
Is that society or is that parents?
Let me say, parents are society. Family is the foundation of society. Do you understand? The thing is here is, let me give an example. If you grow up in a home where you did not have your father present, all right, it is going to manifest in your life to a point where you grow up to be a strong, independent woman who does not deserve. Let me finish my explanation. You grow up to be a woman who is independent of her mind, who feels that I don't need a man, I can still survive regardless, because you grew up without and you survived, or you saw people in your life surviving without it. So you subconsciously mimic you subconsciously mimic what is familiar to you. Just like for you, Shivan, you grew up in a family, your father was present, and you don't want anything less than that for yourself moving on in future. Do you understand? So that may be harmful to you in one way or the other. Do you understand? Where you want to hold a man in your life at the same standard, and yet you should be allowing yourself to learn, to grow, to upgrade, and take what you had and upgrade that experience to something else better. Do you understand what I mean?
Yes, I do get what you mean. But
and you find yourself in a situation where you may find a partner. How this can also be detrimental to you in another way is that you may find yourself with a partner who you love very dearly, and you will try to mold that man into what you consider is love from a man. Do you understand what I mean?
Two sides to the coin of, making sure that your ideal man treats you the way your father did. However, Priva, you seem to disagree with what Sarah had to say. So would you say that girls with daddy issues, and what girls with daddy issues are, of course this particular phrase has used in a very toxic way, but often has either been abandoned or neglected by her father, physically or mentally abused. So would you say that girls with daddy issues have relationships that could fail?
Absolutely not.
Why?
Absolutely not. You have a mind of your own. You're going to get into that relationship as an adult. It has nothing to do with what your father is or what your mother did or anything like that.
If your father abandoned you, imagine a scenario where a father has abandoned a little girl, and finally she gets into a relationship. That is when attachment styles come in. That is when you find ladies in a relationship clinging onto a man.
Listen,
I'll
speak from experience, Shivan. I did not grow up with a father, but let me tell you that I have a mind of my own. I know what I want. Has nothing to do with what my mother experienced or the people around me, what they're doing.
It actually does.
Just a minute.
It does.
It
actually does.
Unless you want to diagnose me with something, but it doesn't.
No. I just want to put it into context, because your father is late. Now that's a big, because also there are different types of dad. First of all, there is the Disney dad, and the Disney dad is the all-inclusive dad who is at every event and everything that concerns their child. Then apparently there is a hollow dad, and that is a dad who is in a home but is emotionally disconnected. Then we also have a stone cold dad who is very aggressive and quick to throw insults and even a punch. Then we have a peekaboo dad, and that's someone who is constantly in and out of the child's life. Yeah. Then we have a hide and seek dad. Hide and seek dad, family is constantly wondering, where has he gone to? Mommy, did you see dad? Did he come this weekend? However, when it comes to dads that have passed on, for that is understandable. What we are talking about is dads that are still alive and they choose to be absent from their daughters' lives. Let's not deny that this actually affects girls' relationships in a way or the other.
I want to differ in one thing. You talked about girls who have daddy issues are always clingy. I don't know, onto men. I will tell you
Abandonment issues.
it
manifests in different ways.
I have met multiple ladies. I don't want to mention them. I have met multiple ladies who have actually grown up in very loving families. You know, dad's present and all, princess kind of treatment. But they are so clingy, like you have no idea, even more than people who didn't grow up with fathers. So this, at the end of the day, it's about you as an individual. You have, when you grow up, try to find yourself and what you want. Do not hold on to how your father treated
my
you,
experience.
how your family, because it
Can
never works
I,
out
may I
like
please
that.
say
so
something?
ladies,
May I please
not
just
on
use
our
10 seconds
best
to say
side.
this?
It is
Can I just use 10
exactly
seconds to say this? Whether you like it or not, our relationships with our parents affect our lives. In positive ways, in negative ways, and it's going to manifest in different ways. All your insecurities are a result of your relationships with your parents. Whether they were present, your insecurities,
as a
your
person.
self-esteem, your
we had for you, ladies, that winds up the conversation that we had for you this morning on Obvious. However, the conversation does continue on our social media handles, and we shall be doing small videos in regard to what we think about this particular matter. But for me, I shall not settle for less. I expect my man to treat me either the way my dad has treated me or even more. If you cannot agree to that standard, please move on to the next woman. And that winds up what I had for you. Keep watching Sunrise at Sea.
Well, we've come to the end of the show. Please, just one final thing that I have to say. Do not stress our men by trying to hold them on the same standards as your fathers. It just does not work like that. It doesn't work like that.
It's called not settling for less.
No. Do not stress them. Do not hold them to the same standards as your fathers, because at the end of the day, they will never be your fathers. So get into your own person and figure out what you need. Well, like Shivan mentioned, the conversation continues on our social media platforms. That is Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at CTV Uganda. My name is Priva Elibas. Good morning.